This is the history of 1-cent patterns featuring the Hoosier Flyer collection, a chronicle of the transition of the United States cents prior to the Civil War. The Hoosier Flyer collection. Beginning in 1850, the historic flood of new gold from California cheapened that metal and made all prices related to gold more expensive. In 1853, the weight of smaller silver coins was reduced to keep them from being melted. That same year, the large copper cent and half cent began to cost the mint more than its face value to produce. The question was, should the mint reduce the size of the copper cent or go with a whole new metal? The following is a presentation to illustrate the evolution of America's cents during this turbulent time. Their legacy is a lesson for the future. This is a large cent from 1837. That same year, a fellow named Louis Feuchtwanger devised a composition of German silver, which he promoted to the mint as a substitute for the large copper cent. The mint did some tests and asked a local metallurgist, the Professor James C. Booth, who worked at the Franklin Institute, and he reported that the metal was not satisfactory for making coinage at that time. Probably the reason was that it was a little bit before its time. This is one of the designs that Feuchtwanger used for his cent tokens. This is an 1850 large cent. Now the mint at this time was starting to experiment with smaller sized cents. This example is a silver center cent. You can see how small it is compared to the large cent. To make the size bigger, it was given a hole and expanded in diameter. It has 1/10 silver, which was enough to give it 1 cent's worth of metal value. And this alloy is called billin. Now here's a restrike, which is struck in copper nickel, and you can see the comparison of the size. This is without the hole in the center. In 1851, they redesigned it and tried again. This is also 1/10 silver. Now in 1853, they came up with trying to use copper nickel and German silver in the coin. And this design, they used the obverse die of a $2.50 gold piece. Now the curious thing was, by this time, the professor who rejected the Feuchtwanger cent was now working for the mint as its melter and refiner. And this fellow, James Booth, was actually the person that recommended the use of copper nickel now. Here's another design, a slightly larger seated liberty design in 1854. Now you look at this and it looks like the date is 1851. The die was reduced off of a silver dollar rather than from a large model. It was a quick and dirty way to make a die, so it doesn't look that fancy. That same year they decided to possibly just shrink the size of the large cent from 175 grains down to 100 grains. So here's a pattern that shows that idea, just slightly smaller large cent. Here's a beautiful coin, the first Flying Eagle cent that was used in 1854, and that was using the same size as the 100 grain standard. Now you see here all these lines on the coin. These are die finishing lines that are actually quite attractive. They're not scratches on the coin, these are scratches on the die, and we come to like them. Now the relief on this Flying Eagle was a little bit high, so the next year they redesigned it and used the 1855 date, a little lower relief. As you can see, this one also has the die striations. In 1856, they decided to go with copper nickel and made a very small cent when compared to the previous large cents. Now, they struck about 700 in a simulated production run in late 1856. These were a mint state format. They were used to test the new alloy, the new size, the new design, and the examples were then distributed to Congress to enact the appropriate legislation to start production on the small cent the next year. This example is a proof 1856, which was struck a little bit later for collectors, and it doesn't have the typical deep mirrors that other proofs of the era have. This is because the production was on the order of about 1,500 pieces, and the die couldn't remain mirrored for that amount of strikes. As a result, a lot of coins that are actually proof get mistakenly called mint state, and this creates a little bit of confusion with collectors. We've done a die study and can attribute the proper format depending on the die marriage diagnostics. Now, in 1857, this is another small cent pattern with a Liberty head, and quite rare. As you can see, there's only about 4 or 6 minted, and this is a Coronet Liberty head that Longacre would use later on the 3-cent piece. Now here's the first production run Flying Eagle, small cent, 1857. This one is a Snow 2 obverse style of 56, which means that the eagle and the lettering were from dies that were made alongside the 1856 dies, because they have the same lettering style, especially by the O and of. The dies were later dated with 1857. These are a popular subtype for the collection. This is a normal 57. As you can see, it has an oval-shaped O. This is a scratch on the holder. It's not a scratch on the coin. This is a double die, Snow 4. There's a lot of varieties that are in the 57 Flying Eagles that are quite interesting. This one has a die clash from a $20 gold piece. You can see the outline of Liberty's face here and the back of her head here, and underneath the truncation of the bust here. This is a very rare coin in high grades. Now this is another clashed die. The reverse is clashed with the reverse of a quarter. You can see the eagle's head and neck here, and the wing, and part of the shield lines are in here. A very popular coin. And this is another multi-denominational clash die. Shows the obverse is clashed with the obverse of a seated Liberty $half. The Liberty's arm and the pole are right up here. Her dress is here, and her other hand down by the rock is here. Now keep in mind it's backwards from the regular seated $half design. Here's an off-center Flying Eagle. And this one is a proof. The proofs for the 57 are very rare. Probably only about 50 were struck. And although in the Red Book and other places they say 400 and some odd, but that's nowhere near correct. Now this is a 1858 pattern with the small letter obverse and the reverse, which is similar to what was adopted in 1859. This is a laurel wreath reverse. It's actually olive, but The mint director at the time, James Snowden, called it Laurel, and that name has stuck since. These are quite popular, and as patterns go, they're fairly common, 75 minted or so. For patterns, that's common, but as far as trying to find them, they're not too available, but they are collectible. Here's another one. This is the oak wreath reverse. And then this is an ornamented shield in oak wreath reverse. And those are the three different reverses that are found paired for the 1858 patterns. This is a large letter. The large letters are a lot scarcer. As you can see, there's about 25 minted of these. And this is a very rare coin. There's only 3 known. It's on a large planchet. This is a small eagle. This was designed by Anthony Paquet, and it's a little misshapen. This has the laurel wreath reverse. This one has bunches of 6 leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves. And if you notice, the wreath is centered on the coin. And this is the actual design that was used in 1859, so it's a transitional design. This is the oak wreath. It's a beautiful deep mirror proof. You can see die striations here, quite desirable. The ornamented wreath reverse. And then this is the reverse of 1858. We call it the agricultural wreath. Then the adopted, or the design that was actually chosen in 1859, the Indian head. This is the first use of it. This is a transitional with the this is a 5-leaf reverse. As you can see, the wreath is not centered in the coin. It's a little bit high, and it's slightly different from what was adopted. The oak wreath. There's a really nice one with the ornamented shield reverse. And this is the transitional with the obverse that was adopted in 1859, and then the reverse from 1858. It was quite popular. This is a regular 1858 Flying Eagle cent. This is a high leaf reverse. As you can see, the leaves here by the C and T in cent are high. They're in line with the base of the word. And here is another one. This is a 58/7 with a clear overdate. This is the Snow 1, an early die state. Later die states don't show the 7 very well and are not worth nearly as much. There's a second die, 1858/7. It shows a 7 here, and it shows a little bit of a 1 off to the left of the 1. Also, it's a double die where you can see that the word United is doubled. It's a lot rarer actually than the S1, but a lot less known. Here's a proof Flying Eagle with the large letter, which is a very scarce coin, about 100 minted. And this is a small letter redesign for the Flying Eagle. They were trying to lower the relief, so they changed the eagle and they changed the letters. Might have been done by Anthony Paquet. And this one has a low leaf reverse. The leaves here are lower than the base of the C and T. The whole wreath is redesigned to be a lower relief. And here's a proof example, low leaf reverse. Although this is a regular issue, this is included in the 12-piece pattern set. And here's the 1859 transitional. This is the reverse that was used in 1860. And these were struck in mint state for the most part, mint state format, and are fairly available. As you can see, there's about 500 minted. Thank you for listening to this presentation on the development of the small cent and the Flying Eagle cent. You can see many of these coins at IndianCent.com, which is the website for Eagle Eye Rare Coins. Thanks. I'm Rick Snow.